Before we begin, a quick content warning. In this episode, our guest shares her experience with domestic violence and the tragic murder of her best friend. These stories may be distressing for some listeners. Please take care while listening.
Welcome to The Human Experience, a podcast about the stories we live out every day and the importance of championing the vulnerability and courage of the storyteller. I'm your host, Jennifer Peterkin, and it was through my own lived story of experiencing domestic violence that this podcast was created. By traveling the globe and interviewing each guest in person, I am convinced now more than ever that stories have the power to change the world. You can join our community of storytellers by subscribing, leaving a rating and review, signing up for my newsletter, following me on Instagram, and more. Thank you for being here. In a world full of noise, to listen with intention is an act of resistance. All right, Linda. So we are in this massive podcast studio in your home. This is your home, correct?
Well, yeah, our house just burned to the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we lost every material possession we had 2 years ago. And on this lot, and then we just rebuilt. We've been in maybe 4 months. Actually, you're one of the first people that's been able to walk on grass.
Oh, wow.
Instead of dirt. So, yeah. So this was the reason that the studio's in the house is because we lost our studio at our office. And so about that same time, the person that was going to be in this bedroom decided not to be in this bedroom. And so my husband said, voila.
That's awesome.
Studio pour Mami Linda.
I'm a little bit jealous, and also
of the fire?
No, God, no. Oh my gosh, of the studio, but also a little bit intimidated as well. So this is so I'm very out of my element with this, which is kind of weird to say since I've been doing this for several years. But
well, girl, for you making us feel bougie. So I can take you some more places and then you won't feel like this is out of your element.
Probably not. Yeah. But thank you so much for being willing to host this in your home, in your studio. I appreciate that. I want to hear about your story. So I know a very little bit about you. And I know you have the logo of your organization right behind you, but if I ask you, what's your story? Where does that start for you?
20 years ago, my very best friend's husband took an AK-47 and shot and killed her. And then he turned around and picked up a knife and he killed my friend's mom. And my friend had 5 children. And those 5 children were in the home. This all happened in Conyers, Georgia. And so in 5 minutes, those 5 children lost their mother, their father, and their grandmother. And so that moment in time, and it was this lot, not this house, but I can remember I was sitting upstairs in the sunroom when I got the phone call. David wasn't here. It was just the two of us. And he was at a church setting up for a playground thing. It was the day before the Georgia-Florida game. And so I remember it very crisply and very clearly when I got that phone call. And that is the moment that completely changed my life and thousands of others.
Wow.
It was a hot mess, but that mess has resulted in millions of miracles. So those kids fell through in Georgia, we call it defects. That's who comes in, steps in and takes kids. And they fell through the defects cracks that weekend. And within 48 hours, they had literally been shipped up to New York. And you have to keep up with this story. So my friend's father lived in New York. His wife, which was my friend's mom, had been down here to help with them moving when she was murdered. And so he had just lost his wife and his daughter at the hand of his son-in-law. And now was about to have these 5 children. So he was 78 years old at that time.
Wow.
And so they were in Queens. They were in Queens. They used to look out of their living room window. They would sit on the couch and look out their living room window and watch murders and drug deals because there was a basketball court right around the corner from where they lived. And literally would call me and say, Mommy Linda, Alina just pushed me down the chairs and Jasmine's doing this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like 9,000,000 miles away from you. There's not anybody closer to you that can handle this.
Yeah.
And so one day, my friend's dad called me and said, I can't do this. And he said, and I just found out I'm terminally ill. And so one little thing I left off, my friend, her name is Myrna. She was Haitian. Okay. So he tells me, he's like, I've called everyone in Haiti, all the family we have in Haiti. I've called all the family we have in France, Canada, anywhere, and nobody will take all 5 kids. And he said, and if you're my last phone call, Linda, if you don't take them, I'm going to have to split them up and put them in foster care. And so my husband and I, backwards a little bit, rewind, on our very first date, had made a deal that we were not going to have any kids.
Oh.
Okay. So, there was literally, it was a very nice restaurant. It was the Embassy Suites Hotel in Charlotte, their restaurant there, and white tablecloths. And a little girl, like a 9-year-old little girl, goes running through with a naked Barbie doll. And I looked at him and I was like, I don't know about you, but I don't want any of them. And he was like, me either. And we shook on it. Right.
Yeah.
So that deal had already been made. So when he said, if you don't take these 5 kids, my response back was, dude, you picked the wrong chick to make the last phone call to, because I don't have any kids. I don't like kids. And I don't know what you think I'm going to do with your 5 Haitian kids, but I'm driving a Jaguar. So I can't even fit 5 kids in my car. I don't know where the schools are here. I'm just not your girl. Did you meet my husband upstairs?
No.
Okay. Well, he's here somewhere. He overheard that phone call and threw the Bible in my face. And said, Linda, what about James 1:27? And I said, I don't care about James 1:27. What is that about? Anyways, I don't even care. And he said, the Bible says that real religion that God himself considers pure and faultless is not to go sit at Starbucks with a cup of coffee in your Bible, or sit at home or on the beach with your Bible. It is to care for the widows and the orphans who are in a hot mess. And I said, I don't care. I don't care. At that point, my husband still travels. I was like, I'm going to be the one at home washing little girl panties, and you're going to be out, I'm not doing it. So I argued with him and said, I'm not doing it. But anyways, there's 4 or 5 books out about this whole story now. So if you go now to the point where I submitted on the 17th day of the 7th month of the year 2007, the family living in this home before it burned went to the size of 7 with children ages 7 to 17. So 7 in the Bible is the number for perfection and completion. So either God was right in the middle of it, or he just did it that way so I could remember. I don't know. One or the other. I'm not sure what it is. And that really, really messed me up. It was the most difficult thing I've ever done. And I was an entrepreneur. I was a real estate investor. I was running multiple businesses. I had a day spa downtown, a 24-hour photo lab. I did everything because I didn't have kids, so I could manage stuff, right? But literally did not know where the schools were. And then bam, I've got 2 in elementary, 1 in middle school, 1 in high school, and 1 that dropped out of school while he was in New York because he decided, and I don't know if you know this or not, but in Manhattan or in Queens, they take the same bus that everybody else takes. So you just get on there and you don't have to go to school. You just go wherever you want. And so, I didn't even know, I remember one time we were at this clothing store and we had all of the dressing rooms taken up because I didn't know what sizes they wore. I didn't even understand shoes. Mm-hmm. They go from size 13 to 1 and 1 is bigger than 13. I just want you to understand I was completely ill-equipped because I think a lot of people are like, oh, you never could have children. I was like, no, I could have them. Oh, this is so precious that I just love that you did. No, it was not that at all. Mm. So, and on top of that, those kids were not very grateful to me. I saved their happy butts from being deported to the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, right? They were finna get on a plane and go back to Haiti. And they weren't keeping their rooms clean. I never heard thank you. They were just not very grateful. So I came up with this magnificent idea and we ran our family like a business. We had business meetings run by Robert's Rules of Order. We had minutes for our meetings. You had to make motions, the whole 9 yards. So in 2011, I made the motion at our November family meeting. And I said, I make the motion that this year, nobody gets anything for Christmas. And instead, we're going to take all the money we would normally spend on Christmas and we're going to Haiti. We're going to find an orphanage to help. And you guys aren't getting nothing. Well, I don't know if you know, you probably don't know about Robert's rules because you're so young, but you have to have a second to the motion before you can have any discussion. And I couldn't get anybody to second the motion. They were like, you kidding? I mean, everybody felt so sorry for the kids, right? Except for me. And Christmas was like 3, 4, 15 hours of opening gifts. And then you had to go to the next house and the next house. So they were not for it at all. But they had a lot of discussion, which was cheating on Robert's Rules of Order. But very long story short, in 2011, even after multiple things that happened that weren't going to allow us to go, my very white husband, myself, and our 5 little Haitian kids got on a Delta flight and went to Haiti. And I thought for sure when they came back, they were going to worship the ground I walked on, and be like, oh, Mommy Linda, you're just amazing. Thank you so much. And so while we were in Haiti, we went to this orphanage with 17 girls, which was the plan that we had. And we had Christmas for them. And then while we were there, the guy that was taking us around, he said, now this is the year after the devastating earthquake in Haiti. Okay. Millions of people lost their lives. People are intense. I mean, it's literally just a year later, not even a year. And so the earthquake happened in January. And so the guy was like, he said, I have a really good friend. We used to play music together. And all of the kids in his neighborhood that lost their families just kind of moved in with him. So he and his wife have sort of just taken in 30 kids. And I'd really love for you to go there and meet them and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, we didn't even plan for that. I mean, we don't have gifts for them. We're not doing that, right? And my husband was like, no, we would love to go. We'll be happy to go. So we get on the back of a cow truck and we go to this jacked up, disgusting, unbelievable place that literally still had a river running through it. I mean, it was a hot mess from the earthquake. And we get out of the truck and there's a pile of trash about the size of this studio. And there's 2 boys and a pig and a goat. And they're all 4 going through that pile of trash with the same goal. They were all 4 looking for food. And that messed me up. And so we go up the stairs, and this was also my very first experience with miracles. We had a suitcase. I had been a mom long enough to know that you could bring bubbles and crayons, and I had some of that stuff to keep the kids occupied. So we get up to the top of the stairs and we open up that suitcase. Now as we approach the top, there's no running water, no electricity. It's Christmas Day. There's no Christmas tree, no ham on the table, nothing. But 30 kids running around. Craziness, right? So we open up that suitcase, and unbeknownst to us, there's 30 pairs of shoes in that suitcase. The right size and the right gender for these 30 kids.
Wow.
And I'm like, I looked at David, he looked at me. I'm like, we're the only people at the guest house. What's this about? So we sat down at the table and we started coloring and blowing bubbles. And about that time, I was like, it was nauseating to be there. 30 kids with no electricity. Come on. So I gave David that look and let's get out of here. Are you married? Mm-mm. Okay, I'm sorry. Because you'll get the look. I can show you how to do it. It doesn't always work for me, but I can show you. There's a look that you give when it's like nobody else is supposed to know, but it means let's go.
Sure.
So, and he was like, no, he goes, first I want to talk to this guy and find out how we can help him. So we sit down at a table, just like that black table over there. And at that time, I did not parler Creole Haitian at all. And they didn't speak any English. So we had an interpreter with us. And my husband says through the interpreter, my wife and I really want to help you. What is your greatest need? And the man answers back through the interpreter. And he said, you just met our greatest need. And I was like, David, this is a waste of our time. They don't even understand what we're saying because I can look around this place and see we did not just meet their greatest need. They need electricity. They need water. And the man interrupted with the interpreter and said, he said his wife and him, they've both been praying for over 3 months for someone to bring them shoes for their children. I don't know if you've ever felt the Holy Spirit inside of you, but I was not liking the way I was feeling. And I was like, this is very uncomfortable. I want to get out of here. This is insane. I've never met anybody that prays for 3 months for anything, right? Most of my friends can't even pray 3 minutes. And if they pray 3 days for something that ain't happening, we call that a closed door. And so 3 months, what are you talking about? And so this guy, he recognized the look that time when I told David, I'd already pushed my chair back from the table. And this guy who does not speak any English stands up, puts his hand across the table in my face and says, Mommy Linda, before you go, I want for my kids to sing for you. Now, we've known each other for a good 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. However, I think you can tell I'm a pretty bold chick. And I don't mind saying what I think. But I couldn't figure out how to say, I don't want your little orphan kids singing for me on Christmas Day. This place stinks, I'm out of here. So instead, I walked over to where he was calling all of the kids over, and I sat down on this urine-stained daybed, and they handed me a little girl. There's the CD up there. They handed me a little girl who was 4 months old at the time. Her name was Majine, and someone had dropped her off the night before. And these 30 kids get up in front of me and they start singing, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." They sang that for me in 5 different languages, and I lost my mind. They were so cheerful and joyful and smiling. I mean, it was really discombobulating to me. It was to the point that they were so happy that I wanted to go and shake them and say, "What is wrong with you? Your mom's dead. Your dad's dead. This place is horrible. What are you so happy about?" And I literally felt in that moment like Jesus Christ himself tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Linda, what you're seeing is the joy of the Lord. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. It doesn't matter what material things you have or you don't have, but that's the joy of the Lord. And Linda, honey, you ain't got it. You do not have the joy of the Lord. Your joy comes from when your husband does what you want him to do, when you want him to do it, how you want him to do it, when these kids keep their room clean to the level of expectation that you've set, all of these things that just don't matter." And I walked out of that orphanage that day and I told the guy that brought us there, I said, somebody ought to bring those kids to the United States. I said, "You're probably not going to believe this. All my friends, they have everything they need. I mean, in the U.S., if you don't have what you need, there's an agency you can get it from, right? Matter of fact, most of my friends have everything they want, but they are not happy." I mean, don't let somebody go through Starbucks and not get whipped cream on their coffee because it's on then, right? And he looked back at me. He was like, Mommy Linda, they would love to come to America. That would be a dream fulfilled for them. And so I left Haiti, came back to America. Not one of my kids was more grateful to me, probably got worse. But my life was rocked forever. And I reached out to anybody and there's a lot of people raising money for Haiti. I don't know what they're doing with it, but there's a lot of people raising money. So I had reached out to all these places and said, I've met these 30 kids. You really ought to think about bringing them to America. And I got the same answer probably 87 times. Linda, you're an idiot if you think that the Haitian government and the American government is going to work together to allow anybody to bring 30 children from Haiti to America. It will never happen. Well, in 2016, those 30 children got on a Delta flight with me. We came to America and we traveled from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, all the way up to the White House, 2016, 2017, 2018. And everywhere we went, the kids would, we would sing at churches, we would sing at hospitals, we sang at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium for an audience of 85,000. We sang every night, we always said we were singing for an audience of one, which was God. But we would also go to ICU units. It was the most unbelievable thing ever. But people would say, is there a way that we could help this child or sponsor this child? And so a very, very long story short, gets to this point. 22 of those 30 children had the opportunity to stay here in the United States of America. They have either been adopted or they are here on student visas and they are living with host families. We currently have 6 locations in the country of Haiti: orphanages, schools, churches, a vocational school, a transition home. And in the middle of a global pandemic, when the entire world was shutting down, we opened a hospital. A hospital that is currently, because Haiti is currently under complete gang control. There's no president in Haiti. He was assassinated 3.5 years ago now. And since that time, it's been completely run by gangs. And so many of the Mirables has been shut down by gangs. The Baptist Haiti Mission has been shut down by gangs. Our hospital is one of the very few that is still open. And between all of the things that we have, we are responsible for thousands of children in the country of Haiti.
Wow.
So the way I like to summarize it is, God took a big mess with my friend Myrna, and the Messiah came smack dab in the middle of that mess. And he has now turned it into our message.
Yeah. That is a lot.
That ain't the half of it.
I believe it.
No, I'm just kidding.
I believe it. I mean, first of all, thank you for spanning all of that. That's to get such a comprehensive picture in such a short amount of time. I feel like you've done this once or twice or 200 times. But going back to the incident with Myrna.
Yeah.
Had you had any experience with domestic violence previous to that?
Well, my husband and I are both nouthetic counselors, which means biblical counselors, not Christian, but biblical.
Okay.
So in other words, when you come to us, we don't tell you what we think. We tell you what the Bible says. And so ironically, Myrna's husband had called us the Friday night, the night before he killed her, and said that they really needed to come and talk with us. They needed some help. And we knew that there were many issues that were going on. Never thought it would escalate to that. So, and I even asked David on multiple occasions, I said, ask them if we need to come down there tonight. Ask them if we need to come down there tonight. Because we were living here at that time and they were back in Lawrenceville or Conyers. And, but Myrna was at the hospital that evening. She had been suffering from some migraine headaches. And so she wasn't there anyways. So we actually made an appointment for that following Tuesday, and they were going to come up here and meet with us on Tuesday. And we were going to try to iron some things out. And then that happened. That was on Friday. And then that happened Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So have I personally had experience with domestic violence? No, but I have counseled numerous situations that's been involved with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't mean you personally. I just meant in general, because I think it is jarring for a lot of people to experience that. And I think a lot of people that have not walked in that world at all don't necessarily see the signs beforehand or aren't necessarily aware that there's a bigger issue at play. So I just find it very interesting the way that your story starts, because I think it's an important thing to highlight in the sense that this is still such a big problem. And here I'm going to stand on my soapbox a little bit, because I am a domestic violence advocate after going through my own experience with domestic violence. So I think it's a really important thing to highlight in your story, just in the sense that it can happen to anybody. It can happen anywhere. And the ripple effect of domestic violence is such that, you know, these 5 kids were immediately orphaned, were without resources, without parents. And by the grace of God, it has turned out fabulously for you. And
but that's not always the case.
It's not always the case.
No, and it's, matter of fact, more likely not the case.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, obviously there were definitely signs, which was one of the reasons that the mother had come all the way from New York to come down and try to intervene, which her husband had told her not to do. And that actually ended up costing her life also.
Yeah. It's awful. So awful. And I'm so sorry for the loss of your friend. I know it's been quite some time now, but still, that, especially in such a horrific way, that never really leaves.
No. Well, I'll tell you, there's been a couple of times at the Georgia-Florida game or at several games that I've caught my eye like this, and I was like, is that Myrna? If she faked this whole thing and left me with those 5 kids, I will tell her what for.
It's the biggest long con.
Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't had really great, I don't want to say luck, but I haven't really had great situations with best friends. So I'll get a best friend and then something horrible happens.
No.
Yeah. So nobody's standing in line to be my best friend. It's like, yeah, well, one died from cancer, one died from gunshots, one died. Yeah. So, but I know, right? Don't be friends.
Apparently not.
Yeah. No, we don't have best friends anymore.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So how long were the kids in New York then?
They were there from 2004 to 2000. The murder occurred October 30th, 2004.
Okay.
I got them in 2007.
Okay.
So it was a good 2.5 years.
While you were telling the story, I just kept thinking of Jonah. Like you had your Nineveh moment eventually.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
you tried to make your escape as much as possible.
Yeah, I've tried multiple times. Now I have 12 kids. And so 5 still at home. And my 88-year-old mom lives with me.
Okay.
So there's just never a dull moment. Matter of fact, I came in on 2 wheels right before you from picking up kids from school. So it's just, and I don't think I would have it any other way. I would like to have like 1 or 2 days to just breathe. But I mean, our ministry, everything that we do in our ministry stems from something that I've gotten upset about. So for example, those kids, I got them in July. So the first major holiday was Thanksgiving. I cooked for 5 days and those kids sat down and ate it in 5 minutes and then got up and left the table. And I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And so I went out in the garage, got some to-go plates, filled up 11 to-go plates and called those kids back down. I mean, I got to live out every woman's dream by trading in my Jag for a minivan. So I was like, let's get in this minivan and we're going to go find somebody that is not eating a traditional Thanksgiving meal. So that was 15 years ago. And this past Thanksgiving, it was our 15th, 16th, 17th annual. I can't remember how many years we've been doing it. We delivered 5,093 meals to homeless, hopeless, and homebound individuals.
Wow.
So we ran that project out of this house every year for like 4 or 5 years. I think we were running like maybe 400 plates out of this house at that time. And now we've had to take over the local high school. We help with those people all year long. At Christmas, Love Him, Love Them, because I raised 5 children who had a parent incarcerated, we do a big event, a big Christmas event for children whose parents are incarcerated and their guardian families. And so we turn them into angels. We start that project in the jail. We get to go into the jails and say, hey, who's got your kids? What do you want to get them? And then we contact those guardian families. We do a big night with a meal, entertainment. We have the live nativity scene. And then we literally stand up at the end of that night. And I have a representative at each table. And I say, what do you need to change the trajectory of these kids' lives? What do you need? And Love Him, Love Them has given away everything from cars to homes to car seats to CNA scrubs. I mean, just whatever they need. And then they know that they can reach out to us all during the year and we'll help with that. And then another thing that we do annually is for Valentine's Day, because my first 5, when I got them, I had 2 that suffered with epilepsy and seizures. And so it put a special place in our heart for special needs adults. And so every year we do a big Valentine's dance for special needs adults. We work with them throughout the year, go share the Christmas story and do different things for them. So our ministry is hubbed in Haiti, but we do a lot of things here locally also that keep us busy and give people here an opportunity to get involved. Because, we used to do mission trips 1 to 2 weeks out of every month in Haiti. And after the president was assassinated, we weren't able to continue that. So we were glad that we had things here locally that people could get involved in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did you start the organization then after you got the children?
No.
Okay.
Actually Myrna. So my husband and I were, I don't know if you've ever heard of Chip and Joanna Gaines. They have the television show. We were the Chip and Joanna Gaines before there was a Chip and Joanna Gaines. So we used to buy houses, flip them, renovate them, keep some to rent out, sell some. We did that all over Atlanta. And so this is a great story. This makes me seem like I'm such a horrible person. One day I was walking out of 683 Jones Street, which was our homeless shelter. And a lady was outside and she was there with a grocery cart. And she said, can I stay in this house? My husband was inside. He had sent me out to get a 2x4 off the truck. And I said, no, you can't stay in this house. It's not even done yet. We're working on it. And she was like, well, I need a place to stay. And I said, well, that's not my problem. I mean, what do I look like, a nonprofit or something? I'm busy. And she's like, no, I don't have any place to stay. I said, call the homeless shelter people thing, whatever. And she's like, I already have. They're full. I remember it clearly. It was August. I was like, it's hot outside. I thought homeless shelters only got filled up when it was cold. And I was like, it's August. What do you mean? And this will show you how long ago it was. I had a BlackBerry. So I rolled the little ball around and found out how to call the homeless shelter people. And after much arguing with her, I called and I was like, I've got somebody here. She's got everything in a grocery cart. You need to come get her and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, well, we're full. And I was like, what the heck am I supposed to do with this lady standing in front of me? And the lady on the phone says, I don't know. I guess you need to open a homeless shelter. And I thought, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and slammed down the phone. About that time, David comes out, and he's like, what are you doing? Can you just get the 2x4? And I was like, this lady wants to stay in this house. He goes, that's a great idea. That way we won't have to worry about vandalism or anything else. Tell her to come on in. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So very long story short, Myrna came alongside with that, and we turned that house into a homeless shelter. And like 6 months, I mean, it was like the Taj Mahal too. David's mom came down from North Carolina, and we had a blue room, a green room, a red room. We had really nice furnishings. I mean, we were able to take in, because we did it just on our own. And so we were able to take people that other people wouldn't take with same different sibling or gender children, et cetera. I know we had at least 45 babies that were born there, because when you come into a homeless shelter and you're about to give birth, they don't want you because of the consequences of that. We had babies born. We were like, we were really the Taj Mahal. Our outings where you got to go jet skiing on Lake Lanier, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, I know. And four-wheeling, we would go four-wheeling. Our birthday parties for our moms and their kids would be like at Chuck E. Cheese or Bahama Breeze or whatever. Yeah, we had kind of a long line. So Myrna did the financial side of that. So she would come in and help them with a checking account or a savings account. And then because we had so many other houses, we were able to, if they really wanted to not be homeless, we were able to take them from homelessness to having a home, because we could own or finance a home for them. They could rent a house from us. I mean, it really worked out great.
Yeah.
And then we ended up taking that same plan and doing that in Haiti.
Really?
That became our transition home. We bought a piece of property that would hold 100 homes. And so we would run the ladies through the transition home. You know what we found is that people need the same thing everywhere. Jesus and jobs. Jesus and jobs.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so the organization was started then, because what happened was people wanted to give money, people wanted to do stuff, and we were just kind of doing it for fun. And so then we found out, well, they wanted it to be taxed, whatever. So we called it George's Place in honor of my dad, because my dad had passed away. And then somehow when we came up here, I remember a strip club or something opened up with the same name, George's Place. I was like, I don't think we can keep that same name anymore.
Oops, yeah.
So my husband said, we'll do this is the Bible in one sentence: love him, love them. Because to truly be able to love him, you got to love all the thems in your life.
Yeah.
It's easy to love him, but those jacked up people that just like your neighbors and all those people that come into your life, it's like, that's the difficult part.
It is
right?
the difficult part for sure. Your husband's name is David. Do you guys ever do interviews together?
Oh yeah. Well,
because that feels like that would be hilarious.
Yeah. Well, we're exactly alike. Right, Michael? Same cut out of the same mold. So we're
How did you guys even meet or get together? Because
I'm not telling that story. You got to buy the book.
Oh, I got to buy the book?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I told you on our very first date, I made the deal, no kids.
That's true.
You'd have to ask him. It'd be interesting to say. I tell you what we really probably should televise that would be hilarious is our marriage counseling sessions. They are really good. Because David will tell them to do one thing and then I tell them to do something else. It's very exciting. We just finished a book it's called Not Tied Right. KNOT.
Okay.
It's premarital counseling, which premarital counseling is way more fun than marriage counseling.
Yes.
And what you want to do, well, anyways, I shouldn't say that but that's true. Not Tied Right. And it says 7 weeks to tie the ultimate love knot. That's what it is. And we just published it, and we just finished the first couple last night. They went through the whole 7 weeks, and they're actually getting married next Saturday. So we got it out just in time, but it covers everything, all the stuff that nobody asks ahead of time. Right. So it's, from finances to children to, I was smart enough to talk about children before we got married, but look, that didn't help me out a lot, did it? It didn't work out too good.
Not so much. Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah. So going from 0 to 5 is obviously a huge change for anybody, but obviously you were not ever expecting to have one in your life. So how do you even emotionally wrap your head around becoming a mother?
I don't know what the answer to that is. All I know is this, and that is that God had a plan that was not my plan. So he tells us that whatever that plan is, that he will equip us for it. Now, if you sit those 5 kids down right now and say, was she equipped? They would probably be like, are you kidding? She didn't know what the heck she was doing. But trust me, it was a lot better than the situation they were in. And I don't know. I don't know that I know what I'm doing now because like I say, I'm responsible for 5 more. I don't know the answer to that question other than you take it one step at a time. I mean, Michael walked through that with me. He knew me whenever we first got them. It was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. And I've run multiple businesses. I've been to paralegal school. I've done a lot of things, but taking in those 5 kids was very hard.
Yeah. Now, when you did take them in, what happened to what you were doing? All of the businesses you were running, all of the things you were doing.
Because the other night at dinner, so we had last week, I think it was last week, right, Sandy, was the 2-year anniversary of our house burning down. And so I was like, and this is the first anniversary that we were actually in our new house. So I was like, I want us to all go out to dinner, and I made little index cards with questions on them. And, like what is the one thing you lost in the fire that was the most? It was really, I did a great job setting it up. Is what I'm trying to say. My husband was out of town, but he zoomed in so that he did answer all his questions. And at that dinner, one of my daughters, who will remain unnamed, because I said, there's so many days that I wake up and I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, it's a battle. It's a struggle. Especially, you get phone calls from the orphanage. There's dead bodies outside. What do you want us to do? The gangs are coming. They're going to burn us down. How do we handle this? The fundraising is astronomical. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of speaking engagements, continue to write books, opportunities. There's a lot. And so at the table that night while we were sitting there, I said, I just think I'm ready to go to work. And one of my daughters says, what in the world would you possibly do? Oh, there's nothing you can do. You don't have any skills to do anything. To which I then made her Google what the CEO of Goodwill makes. And just let her see that. But it's just funny you say that because my kids don't think I can do anything because I don't even know what to do. But what happened whenever I got those kids, I did have to stop. David and I were even volunteer firemen here. We have a local fire department here. And so we were both Gumlog firemen. And I had to quit that because we couldn't both head out at 2 a.m. for a fire. And we were both first responders.
How do you become a volunteer?
It's a lot of school, but I can get my stuff on and off way before all those guys can. I'll tell you that. We went through all of the training.
Yeah.
So it was a massive training that we had to do, but the fire, and isn't that interesting? And then our house burned down. And we couldn't even get the fire department here. We called 911. The power went out and they put us to the wrong department. Everything else. My husband was the first one to go get the truck. But anyways, I'm sorry. What was your question?
My goodness. No, I'm just like every sentence you say, I feel like I have offshoots of hundreds of more questions.
But the bottom line was I stopped everything. We ended up actually 2007. I don't know if you remember this or not, but it was a great recession. The whole world fell apart. And I was very angry at God because we almost lost this house then because we had taken them in. The economy fell. I had to shut down the day spa. The bank called my note due and wanted like $400,000. And we were like, we can't do that. So we had to shut down the spa. Actually, my friend, I don't know if you know this, Michael, but Julie Durham offered us her house because we were that close to losing our home. And a mutual friend of ours who lives near the high school, because she was like, the kids can walk back and forth to the high school, had offered us that. And it was a hot mess. So we didn't have the spa anymore. The real estate went kaput. I mean, all of that, we ended up having to auction it all off. It was a horrible, horrible time. Yeah. And I can remember sitting there thinking at one of those times we were going to have to move into one of our rental properties and it wasn't even enough. It's like a 4-bedroom, 2-bath maybe for 200 people, however many of us there were. And I can remember sitting there going, really, God? Really? I took these kids in and this is my payback? You got to be kidding me. I was so angry. You took my business away. You took my friend away. And I got these 5 rugrats. And now I got to give up my house too. I mean, this is ridiculous. So it was a very, very icky time in my life.
In 2011 rolls around when you decide to go to Haiti for the first time. So clearly you did make it through. You didn't, this was the land you were on, correct? So you were still in this property. Had the kids been to Haiti before?
The two older ones were raised there.
Oh, okay.
And actually my friend Myrna, so they did not have the same father as the latter three.
Okay.
And that's kind of funny too, because Myrna told me she came one day and she was like, Linda, I'm going to go get my husband's children from Haiti. And I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. At that point, she had two girls. She had two daughters. And she was like, I'm going to go get the other two from Haiti. And I was like, you don't even speak the language and they're not even your kids. Here I am advocating for the kids I'm going to end up with. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And she was like, whatever. And then she didn't speak to me for like 3 months. She went to Haiti, got these two kids. I mean, they were living horrifically. They had been sending money over and literally they were treating those two kids like animals. And so anyways, when she brought those two kids over, she came back. Then she found out she was pregnant. And that's when the issue started with her husband. I literally was in the delivery room when she had the last girl. And I'll never forget that. She was like, you're going to have to name her. I mean, I'm so distressed. I'm so distraught. He's not even here. And that was back in the day when we had baby books for baby names. I was looking through there and I actually named the dog. And then she looked at me and she was like, Linda, will you please be her godmother? And I said, no. I said, I don't even know what a godmother is, but I think in the movies, if something happens to you, I got to take her and I ain't doing that.
That was some foreshadowing right there.
How hilarious is that? I should have just done that because all the other people that were godmothers, I don't even know who the other godmothers were. I never even saw any of them. They didn't help with anything. I could have gotten off anyways. Not sure if I answered that, but yeah.
Yes, you did. Thank you. So you all went to Haiti. Was that your first time
doing anything?
And okay.
Girl, I am not a mission trip girl.
Okay.
I don't even want to camp. I know Michael does, and don't get this the wrong way, but I mean, I don't see why people work all year long to go live like a homeless person for a week. I mean, what is that about even? Right? Just put me up at the Hilton, or I can use some of David's Holiday Inn points, but I don't want to camp. And so, no, I didn't. That whole mission trip, I'm telling you, that was intentional to try to change their hearts. So, I mean, because Haiti's not a day in the park. I mean, there's no hot water. We have a guest house there still now, and it's nice, but I mean, it's not nice. So, no, I'd never been on a mission trip. And then I ended up leading them. Yeah. Constantly. So,
yeah. How often were you going back?
Oh, 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks out of every month. We had.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if David passes away, I'll still go move there.
Okay.
That's another funny story. Myrna told me one time, she was like, Linda, we could sell, cause we had a lot of real estate. She goes, you could sell 2 of those houses and live in Haiti like a queen. She said, you could be on the beach and have one of them little banana boys or the banana leaves or whatever you call it. The guy could be like fanning you and bringing you little drinks and stuff. And I was like, I came home, I was like, David, we could sell 2 of our houses. And he's like, Linda, there are gang people there with AK-47s. You're not going to Haiti to live on the beach.
Yeah.
But, if that happens, then I would be happy to do that. Because now, I mean, I guess they would, right now, the last time I went to Haiti was 2 years ago on Easter, and they didn't even let me leave the airport. I mean, I came in through whatever you call it, arrivals, and they took me inside the airport back out to departures because they said, if they see you here, Linda, they're going to kill you.
Oh my goodness.
Or whoever came to pick you up. So I was going to pick up a child to bring back because we've brought several other kids back over on different things, which we're dealing with now, the repercussions of that because of the new deportation and self-deporting and all of the visas and all that. That's just a hot mess.
Yeah. So you literally could not leave. You literally didn't leave the airport the last time you went.
No, and I've been stuck over there.
Yeah.
I remember one time it was during Thanksgiving. I was so mad. I thought Thanksgiving was going to fall apart because, I wasn't here to run it. And I was like, well, this is just going to be terrible. And, for 4 days, I didn't hear from anybody. They just did the whole Thanksgiving, left me in Haiti. I mean, I think I had a peanut butter sandwich for Thanksgiving lunch that day because the airports were closed. I couldn't get out. But nobody even missed me or knew that I wasn't there. But yeah, it's that bad right now. Yeah. You can't. Well, actually, it's closed. The Port-au-Prince airport's closed.
So what do you see then as the future in terms of your ministry in Haiti?
Oh, our ministry will continue. It has. It's made it through the roughest part. We have a magnificent ability to pray, and God loves to give us the desires of our heart. He has continued to keep every single person safe. We've had one teacher die, but that was after she left our facility and got involved with something with a boyfriend and voodoo. I don't know if you want to talk about voodoo. That always gets a nice audience, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Pastor Mike So, who's the head of our ministry, always says one man, one vision. But I think that the way we have things set up now, I think they will continue to run with or without us.
Yeah. So you have a strong on the ground team.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so important to keep things sustainable long term.
100%. So yeah, because I mean, I haven't been there for 2 years. I mean, I think it's me going that, makes everything happen. Oh, Mommy Linda. But I ain't been there in 2 years and everything's fine.
Yeah.
We have a huge board of directors there.
Okay.
All Haitian.
Wonderful.
Did have one American on the ground. She passed away 2 years ago on January the 6th. But she was going to die in Haiti. She was there and she ran our guest house. But then after we couldn't bring teams over anymore. But she still was there doing things. But, and then we had an opportunity we had 2 interns come in that wanted to go, and we put our foot down and said no. And like 2 weeks after that was when the 2 interns were kidnapped and all that hot mess took place there. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Love Him, Love Them will continue.
That's great. You're coming up on almost 20 years of the adoption.
It's crazy.
So these, obviously they're all grown now. So
you met one of them upstairs. Somebody obviously
Gina?
left you in. Yeah. Okay. I was about to say, you said, I don't know, I was wondering how you got in the house. And we didn't hear the dog bark. So how are you here?
I rang the doorbell and a little girl answered.
That's Merlanda.
Okay. And then Gina introduced herself and said, Linda's downstairs. And I was like, okay, should I just go downstairs?
Welcome to the house. Yeah. Most people don't even ring the doorbell. So when we go upstairs, it's like, oh, hey, glad to see you. So Gina is one of those first 5. Okay. So the other 4 are extremely successful in the world's eyes, but not so much with Jesus. And then Gina is successful in both worlds. She's about to move to Florida. She has her own remote learning academy, which is a school online, homeschooling. And then I don't know if you met Fred. Was he up there? Yeah. Fred just got on the president's list at Emmanuel, 4.0 GPA.
Wow.
He's a very hot looking boy. He's very, very sassy. Works at the golf course, and he's all that. And smart, but loves Jesus. So we're all like spying every girl that even looks his way. Right? So yeah, I would love to have a different type of relationship and as much with the other 4, but not so much right now.
Are they in the area?
Atlanta, Athens, Nebraska, Alpharetta. Okay. So within 2 to 12 hours.
Yeah. 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 I'm sure that's very difficult after.
But when you take in anyone, foster child, anything, when you take in children from a double murder, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And especially depending on what age you are when that happens. And so we're just continuing to pray that some things change, but they're very successful.
Yeah.
Very sharp kids.
That's wonderful. And I hope for reconciliation down the road.
Oh, it will.
Yeah. Wonderful. I love your attitude. I love everything that you're putting out there. I love your candor about yourself, your story, and everything that you've walked through, and that it's kind of a mess. I love that. I love that you are honest about that. You said no, that you were angry, because I think it's an important part of our stories that, first of all, we can still end up in the same conclusion. And so what's meant for us is not going to pass us, that, God's plan will
prevail. Yeah, he says you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to have the final say. So the stream goes this way, but I'm going that way. And I tell people all the time, you really need to consider what is your purpose. I mean, we're all here with a purpose, on purpose, for a purpose, right? And so what is yours? And the bottom line is that God does have a purpose for our lives. And usually what it is whenever you've said somebody ought to do something about that. When you think somebody ought to do something, 99% of the time, you do somebody.
Yep.
Right? So, because what bothers me doesn't bother you. What you're passionate about, I'm not passionate about.
Yes.
And I've always said too, my dad taught me this. He said, Linda, it's really easy to find out what God's purpose for your life is. He said, you just need to pretend like you have all of the money in the world. All of your bills are paid. Everything is fine with you financially. You don't have to go to work. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, what would you go do? That's where your passion is. And that's what God's made you to do.
Yeah.
And so, I get irritated a lot and frustrated, and I never seem to have enough hours in the day, but I would never have it any other way because we are in a position that we're able to make impact in people's lives through the word of God, through the truth. As long as we stick to the truth. The other experience that I mentioned briefly was the demonic realm from Haiti. I grew up Baptist. We didn't talk about all that at the Baptist church. And I had to learn when I brought those 30 children over with the choir, we had 4 of them who had been, you'll see it here, 4 of them who had been raised by a voodoo priest and who was not happy that they were here in America sharing about Jesus. And so we were literally dealing with high-tech voodoo of astral projection and spells that were being placed. And, but that's another thing that I learned is you cannot medicate a spiritual problem. So when there's a spiritual issue, you have to figure out what is the root of that problem and solve that.
Yeah.
And we don't want to do that. We don't want to, most people don't even know what the Bible says to do. So we throw around that we're a Christian, we say we're a believer, but there's very few believing believers that know how to pray and get what you pray for, or that know how to, the Bible tells us in Mark 16 that for those of us who believe, we can lay our hands on the sick and they'll be healed. But very few people even understand the power that the Holy Spirit has placed inside of us to be able to pray for other people and live out what God's plan is for our lives. Very sad. It's kind of like in a real estate deal, we call that leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
And a lot of us do that with our Christianity.
Yeah.
Or our walk with the Lord.
So what are you these days? You are obviously doing your nonprofit in Georgia and keeping in touch with what's going on in Haiti. How do you fundraise?
Yeah, isn't that a good one? So I speak every opportunity I get and share the story. We have 2 television shows that are out on YouTube, and then we're on like 17 to 24 different television networks around the world.
Wow.
Mostly it's speaking. And then I'm guests on other people's podcasts. And so when people hear the story, well, I'll tell you a funny, we just got this message right before we came in here. One of my daughters, Radovka, works at Cracker Barrel. She's got 2 or 3 jobs, and she's from Haiti. She was from one of our orphanages. And she said that she was just checking somebody out, and they realized she was Haitian, and they started telling her, "Oh, we've been to Haiti." She said they walked out to the parking lot and came back and gave her $100.
Oh.
I know. I said, well, my birthday's next week, or you can donate that to the ministry. But literally, I think that it's from me speaking, and I act like it's from the books I write and the things like that, but it's all God. All God. God, Sandy can tell you. I'll be on a podcast, share a story, and from the least likely, most that you would never expect, exactly the amount that we need comes in. So, and I like to act like I don't worry about it, and I, never have a care about it. But that's not true. It is a heavy burden on my shoulders.
Sure.
But I do have the 5 Haitian children that are in my life now are probably the most grounded and biblically based, and will call me out and will throw back in my face what I've told them. Mommy Linda, you say, don't worry. Why are you worried? Or you say God's going to provide. Why don't you think he's going to provide? Or do you really think you have anything to do with this in the first place? It's just a matter of us being obedient, because God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, not you. Right?
Yeah.
But that's mostly what we do. We just take every opportunity we can to be able to share the story.
Yeah.
And most people want to come alongside and help.
So have you ever done grants or anything like that?
Well, we're looking for a grant writer. If you'd like to volunteer for that position, we'd be happy to have you. There's tons and tons and tons of grants. And the sad part is that most people that get the grants don't do anything with them. And the people that don't get the grants are the ones doing most of the work. But we've never had a dedicated person. That's something that every time we get and we're all volunteers. I think I told you that. And so once you get a dedicated person, it just can get overwhelming.
Sure. Absolutely.
But we're looking for that. So if anybody's
throw it out there.
Anybody in the new audiences would like to help out, or maybe just do one or two, or
And you have a podcast,
yes,
as well. So what do you do with your podcast?
So we have two different shows. One is called Miracles with Mommy Linda, which we have a book called Miracles with Mommy Linda that has 37 miracles in it of healing the sick, raising the dead, casting out demons that we've actually personally been a part of. And then that is a show. So actually in that book, you can read the miracle and then you click on the QR code and it pops up on the YouTube channel and the person, or we tell the rest of the story. We also have a devotional called Miracles with Mommy Linda. The devotional, it's got 52 weeks of also miracles in it. So the one show, which is Miracles with Mommy Linda, it talks about miracles or miracles in the Bible or things in the Bible that can lead you to a miraculous life. And then we also have Love Him, Love Them with Linda Gunner. And that's where we do guests, where I sit in that chair. And I interview people in the beginning, it was people whose lives had been impacted by Love Him, Love Them, or they had come and volunteered with us, or their life had changed. But now people call us from all over and say, hey, can I come share my story? And so those are the two shows that we have.
Very cool. Well, I mean, it sounds like you have got to reach. I mean, with your personality, I can't imagine that you are made for anything else, because I'm sitting across from you and I'm like, yeah, this all makes sense. Like weirdly it does, for, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And actually when I sat down, the very popular verse in Esther just popped in my head. You were made for such a time as this. And so I think it's such a testament to your faith and your commitment to following what your calling is, that you are where you are. So it's fantastic and well done.
You're very kind to say that.
So I do have a question that I ask all of my guests at the end of each episode. And that is, through the lens of your experiences, what does compassion mean to you?
I don't know that anybody would think I have any compassion. What does compassion mean to me? I guess compassion, or maybe I have a bunch of it. I don't want to cry, but I have this bracelet on, which when the choir was here, after they would sing, they would go out into the audience and pray for someone, and then they would give them their bracelet. And the bracelet has our ministry name on it, and then it also has the name of the child. And the bracelet that I have on, the name is Emmanuel, which has been a thorn in our side from the beginning, because when we first brought the choir, his passport was held up. And so I was like, oh, David, this is just a sign. We're not supposed to bring the stupid choir. It's a dumb idea. And David's like, Linda, do you even know what the word Emmanuel means? I was like, no, who cares what it means? He's like, God is with us. That's what it means. And now, out of all of those children, when I think of compassion, I think, because he's still there. For 4 different ways, we've tried to get him out of the country of Haiti, and he's still sitting in Haiti, and he's gone from a little 9-year-old boy to an 18-year-old. And I guess when I think, what is compassion? I guess compassion is doing for somebody else what you're hoping they would do for you, which in this case for Emmanuel, it is for me to fight and figure out a way to make sure he stays alive and is not shot and killed. And I just think that that would be my definition. And you didn't tell me that ahead of time, so I wasn't able to think of it. But I think compassion is caring for someone to the point that you would extend your life or do whatever it is that they need, whether it's a kind word, whether it's a note, whether it's a text, or whether it's fighting to get someone to be able to stay alive. And you would do it in the same manner that you would hope that person would do for you. Is that a silly definition?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, it's a beautiful definition. And I think it's what it means to, I think that compassion is being the hands and feet of Jesus. And that's exactly what he would do.
Yeah. And, we say that a lot, but we don't want to do it. We say we're the hands and feet of Jesus, but then whenever the Holy Spirit tells us to do something or to call someone or to be kind or to make a casserole or to text them, we don't want to do it.
We brush it off.
Yeah. But we listen to the demonic voices of you're no good, you're too fat, nobody loves you, nobody likes you, you're never going to get that, you're not going to make it. For some reason, we listen to that voice, but we don't want to listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit. It's a little backwards.
Yeah, for sure.
You did a great job in that chair handing me those tissues.
We practiced before, so it went really well.
Good job.
Linda, thank you so much. You're such a delight, and I'm so happy to have met you. I can't wait to follow up with Love Him, Love Them, and just keep track of what you guys are doing and how you guys are continuing to change the world, because I absolutely believe that you are. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming to visit with us.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to The Human Experience. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share it with your friends and family, share it on social media, and rate and review it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also support the podcast financially by going to my website, thehxpod.com, linked in the show notes, and clicking on Donate. It takes a lot of time and resources to create this podcast, so every little bit helps. Everyone has a story, and I'd love to hear yours. So be sure to check out the show notes for more information about how to stay in touch. Do good and love well.